in to Windy City, the
Yo,
Breeze. Man, I'm sorry, I didn't switch the name of the show and forgot it after a Bears victory. The Windy City Breeze. I'm tweaking out here. I mean, first things first, y'all know how we do. Y'all know how we get down. I'm gonna need them Bear Dons in the chat right now. Let me get those Bear Dons
yes.
in the chat. I need them in the chat right now. Come on, come on, come on. Show the love, show the love, show the love, because we got us a Bears victory. And we ain't seen one
Yes,
in
sir.
6 weeks,
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
And by the way, if you sitting here and you looking and you like, wait a minute, that's not P Kid, unless he got a whole lot darker. No, that's not P Kid. Let me introduce to you a man who I grew up with, watched play football growing up. You know what I'm saying? Mad
Man.
respect on the field. Mr. 1-6. He was a problem out here.
Yes,
Played
sir.
for Lakland University. Went overseas, did him a little professional bid, got that in. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Donte Rowell. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it
Hey, appreciate it,
up.
appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it,
Big
appreciate it.
Bears
Hey, once
fans
again,
in the
man, I
chat. Big
appreciate you for
Bears
having me
fans
on
in
the
the
show.
chat, man. Man, so I gotta get, and in the beginning, y'all know I'm tagging this thing up. I'm getting this thing ready so that everybody can jump in and all that. But we got to break this down. I mean, what we saw today was an offensive explosion that we have not seen this season. Let's be honest with it. This season,
Honestly,
uh, what you saw from the game? What are your thoughts on how the offense? Let's be honest, has played the last 3 weeks of the season.
well, I mean, first off, I can definitely say that starting the game off, they was concentrating on running the ball. I mean, that
Yeah,
was very, very intimate. Starting it off, I mean, that 80-yard run by David Montgomery. I
first
mean,
play.
as a Bears fan, for me, I was very excited to see that
Yeah,
go ahead and the old line stick together and finally get a big run at least, get to working for us. Now, from the passing game, I mean, Mitch Trubisky, I'm a fan. All right, I like Mitch Trubisky. I would
you
like for him to
definitely
be
are
our
still a
quarterback.
truther.
I am, and I own that. I own up to it. There's not that many of us out there. I think the benching of Nick Foles, I mean, him getting benched for Nick Foles has
Yeah,
helped him from a character standpoint. And I mean, he ain't got nothing to lose at this point.
right. No, I feel you on that. I think to me, I look at what Mitch did, and today, how the offense looked to me today was honestly one of the best that I've seen, because it wasn't a lot. Now, I think that they sprinkled in a nice smattering of Mitch taking that deep shot, a nice smattering of Mitch trying to go down the field. But for the
Hmm.
most part, you think about what we saw today. Baki and Alive, what's good, P1? You think about what we saw today, it was a whole lot of, okay, we're gonna get this thing out 2-3 yards to Darnell Mooney, and he's gonna take it for 10 yards. We're gonna get this
It's a
thing
quick
out two,
game.
3 yards to David Mike. Get it to your playmakers. It's crazy. We've been asking for this all year. Get it to your playmakers and allow them to make a play. Get it
Literally
to
that
your
simple.
playmakers and allow them to make a play. And I think that's what we saw today. You got the ball into Allen Robinson's hand. Cole Kmet saw the field. Please, God, thank you. Cole Kmet saw the field.
More.
What did you see from the Bears playmakers today that really stood out to you, my boy?
Well, one thing that you said that I absolutely agree with, and when I think my coach Colin Bruden in Lakland University,
Yeah.
he said a quarterback is like a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
You usually got to put the ball in your playmakers' hands and watch them make plays. And that's exactly what Mr. Trubisky, in my opinion, did today. I was at work, so I wasn't able to watch the full game, but the little glimpse that I did see, was quick throws, quick throws, quick
Yeah.
throws, play action. And I mean, it was working because, all stemming back to what I started off, the run game. He
Yeah.
was able to they had to respect it. And I mean, I'll touch on Montgomery a little later on. I got some little notes on him, but I mean, once Mitch gets that play action and we can get it out quick
Yeah.
and let Mooney, Robinson, Komet, like you've already spoke on, yeah, that's exciting football to watch.
Yeah, it to me, I think what really stood out to me about one of the biggest things that stood out to me offensively about what we saw today was that the Bears didn't use the trick plays, the play actions, the screen passes to as their main source of offense. Like you said, they went for the run game. They got the run game engaged. Once you got that run game going, all right, now we can start working some play action in because you got to respect the run. All right, well now we've got so some of these shorter passes, middle of the field passes working. Now we can do some of these screen passes, and I think that was a huge difference in what we saw today from the Bears. Now, to me, I'm in this weird spot because it's just like, okay, well, I want the Bears to win, but are we beating teams? Us beating the Houston Texans, what does that do? One, of course, we know it messes up the draft pick. I'm not really that worried about that right now because I'll never root for my team to lose out. But we're beating some of the worst defenses in the NFL. Like, and we've also lost to them. Like, we lost to the Detroit Lions last week, but this week we beat one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And yes, we can take some, okay, this looks good. I enjoyed, I'm glad what we saw here, but is it really doing anything for us? Say they do win out, say they do make the playoffs. Is it really doing anything for us when we play those real teams?
I mean, that's an excellent question. And, the only way to truly answer that, unfortunately, would be to look at our resume.
Yeah.
When we've had those big blockbuster games, we haven't shown up. So, I mean, that's a great point that you bring up. We getting these wins against these lackluster teams.
Yeah.
And, I mean, my boy Deshaun Watson, who I'm a huge fan of, beating the offense that's not at its full potential. The running back was out, COVID list, and then I believe their star receiver was suspended 6 games, performing enhancing drugs or something like that. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. I definitely take that. And hopefully we can build some momentum going right into this Vikings game, beating the Jaguars, and then finishing off with the Packers. That hopefully those are legitimate enough games that we can get on a little road rolling into the playoffs.
Nah, we got to pay a little homage to one of our Chicago Bears today. Let me see them Bear Downs in the chat for Allen Robinson passing 1,000 yards, ladies and gentlemen. Bear down it in the chat. Bear down it in the chat. This is to me the most important thing you have to sign, the most important thing you have to get done in this offseason. And in my opinion, I don't think that Ryan Pace is going to be the guy that's going to get the contract done. So to me, I think you have to get somebody new in there to get this contract done. But no matter what, you have to get Allen Robinson re-signed. Think about the fact that Allen Robinson has 3,000-yard seasons with Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, which you're more of a Mitch fan than me, but to me, Mitch Trubisky, that's impressive, and a mix of Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. Like, that is, I'm telling you, if you put this guy with a Deshaun Watson, I mean, if he had made the decision to go up to Green Bay, we would have been having nightmares about this guy. I mean, it's crazy to see what he's done. What do you think about the importance of the Bears re-signing Allen Robinson in this offseason?
Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, it's a 20. I mean, absolutely. We have to make sure that this man does not leave this organization. But I mean, I want to circle back to something you said. Do you believe that if Ryan Pace stays as the GM, that he wouldn't sign Allen Robinson back?
I believe that Allen Robinson would not want to be here because he might not believe in what's being built. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest. Whether you believe in Mitch or not, at the end of the day, he hasn't taken a great effort to improve the biggest deficit on this team, which is the offensive line, which directly affects Allen Robinson being able to do what he does best, because if your quarterback's on his butt, it's really hard for him to throw to you. Now, I think that we've seen this offensive line look a lot better. Not a lot. Okay, let me take that. Let me roll that back a little bit. We've seen this offensive line look better because Mitch can move his feet, and I think that we see that, which possibly at the end of the season could be the thing that might end up getting Nagy fired, barring some crazy playoff run, is that he decided that Mitch isn't our answer. We have to sit him because he's not going to be able to play in this game, and we put in Nick Foles, and instantly the line got worse. Now, of course, all the injuries piled up at that time, but the fact that Mitch can move his feet,
That
he
helps
and
all around.
I was on benching Mitch. I'm not even gonna stop. When they benched him, I was like, dude, because he's not making these easy passes. Like you said, I don't know if he's refocused. I don't know if it's because it's bad defense, but whether they're short passes or not, he's hitting them in the hands. The pass that got him benched, the two passes that got him benched, the one deep shot to Anthony Miller, trying to trying to run an L and he couldn't hit him, and then
Yep.
the interception to Jimmy Graham,
Across
from
the yeah.
trying to get it to Jimmy Graham, where it was just like, okay, this is an easy one. How did you miss this?
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
see,
go ahead.
that's oh, my apologies. You know, that's
No,
one
go
of the
ahead.
things I would definitely say with and I'm a little bit controversial, so I'm bringing it
Yeah,
to the show. I think we shouldn't have benched Mitch. We should have benched him after his first loss. After his first loss, I would have been all aboard. Let's do it. Absolutely. You know, but if
but think about when we
now in
bench,
that game we won it. We won
right?
that game. Now I will give that credit when it's due. Great call. You know, but moving forward, I don't know if I would have been able to say absolutely just with the few quarters. I mean, what he came over in the second quarter, I believe he took over. Nick
Yeah,
Foles. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's 3 quarters, 3.5, and that's enough to tell you, all right, bench him. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But
right.
with the season and how it is now, I mean, I'm excited with what he showed last week against the Lions. Unfortunately, that was a loss, but you know, we put up 30 then. This week, put up 30 again. So hopefully this is a trend that we're seeing moving forward with the offense
Yeah,
stepping up.
I really think that when I look at this Bears team, I think the pieces are in place. I think there's a couple pieces you need to fix. Now, you're more on mission than I am, like we've said a few times, but uh, even if you are, the first thing you need to address is this offensive line. And I don't think that in my opinion, because I don't believe in Mitch, I don't think you can give. Now he's playing out of his mind right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who this Mitch is. Maybe you're right. Maybe the benching brought something out of him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe all of a sudden, and I
Hey, you
think
can only hope.
that's the scariest scenario though, because now Nagy's gonna play it like, oh, you know, I had this planned all along. You know, 6 games losing, I was really just trying to get him to figure out what he was doing. And it's like, all right, bro, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think your scariest scenario in this situation is, say you do go on this run, say you do make the playoffs, there won't be any change. There won't be any
There has to
change
be.
from Ryan Pace's seat. There won't be any change from Matt Nagy's seat. There won't be any change if you're a fan of Mitch, or if you're not a fan of Mitch at the quarterback position. And I think that is the scariest thing for a lot of Bears fans going into this, because I look at Ryan Pace. Like I said, I think Mitch is playing well. I haven't seen him do it against the best teams. I look at Ryan Pace and I say, okay, well, you've drafted Mitch, you traded for Nick Foles, which I put that on Nagy and Pace. You signed what was the Giraffe's name? Mike Glennon, and you made him one of the higher paid quarterbacks in the NFL at that time.
That
You
was real.
passed on
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes, which okay,
You passed
I
on
give a
Deshaun
lot of
Watson.
that's the one. I give a lot of teams credit. I give a lot of teams space for missing on Pat Mahomes because of the style of offense he came from, but I can't give you any space on passing on Deshaun Watson.
Oh my
I
goodness.
can't give you any space on passing on Deshaun. And for that reason, I think that Ryan Pace absolutely has to go. Now, if they go on a run, if you think Nagy gets this thing turned around and all of a sudden they're in the playoffs, we get in the playoffs and we have a run like the New York Giants and we go to the Super Bowl. These are big ifs, by the way, people. These are huge ifs. But if we go on that
Glass
kind of
half full
run,
here.
are you okay with possibly Matt Nagy and his staff staying around and just a swap at the president and GM spot?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. You know, the first thing, in my opinion, that needs to happen, regardless of the results of this season, we need to have a shift in our upper management, starting with
Yeah.
Ted Phillips. You know, I've had discussions with you about this. Ted Phillips has been our president of operations since 1985. Since
Bro, look, you
1985.
stressed about it.
that was a different football then, man. That was different football, And once again, I mean, Ryan Pace blew it for me when he passed up on Deshaun Watson. I am a huge Deshaun Watson fan, so I'm gonna put that out there. This is gonna come off a little biased, but I'm gonna speak
Yeah.
straight facts. Deshaun Watson went toe to toe with the best defense FBS football had to offer. Two
Yep.
seasons in a row. 2 seasons in a row. And he was one special teams play away, in my opinion, from going back-to-back national champion.
Yep.
You pass up on a leader like that,
Yeah.
and you move up in the draft from, I believe we had either the number 3 or the number 4 pick to the number 2 pick to take Mitchell Trubisky that would have been there at number 25. He has to go, in my opinion. He has to go. I feel like a shuffle in our upper management would allow for new breath, new breath in our space. And once again, I like Matt Nagy. I like the culture he's brought to our football team. I'm a huge fan of his.
Now, I really wish the kid was able to get on the show today, because he's so on fire, Nagy, and he's on. Basically, I was trying to explain to him that, and I can't say I'm too far away from it myself, but I would let a new GM make that decision. But as you spoke on, it's about the culture. We've seen this team now go through a 6-game losing streak, and we haven't really heard the, oh my God, we got to get this guy out of here. We haven't heard the callings for his job like we heard from Adam Gase from the team. We haven't heard the callings for his job like we heard for Mike McCarthy from the team. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the media. Like the team, players on the team were like, nah, bro, this dude ain't it. You know what I'm saying? I want you to speak because of your professional experience and because of your college experiences. How important is culture in a locker room? And do you think that Matt Nagy's culture is enough to keep him here?
Well, the culture is everything. I mean, that's the drip, that's the swag, that's everything. And it starts with the players. It starts up top, and it's I call it a slippery slope. It drips down to everybody in the organization. You brought up a good fact that even through this 6-game skid, there was nothing from the locker room that leaked out of players saying that they are against their coach. I mean, we did have Anthony Miller that I appreciate saying that one of the reasons he felt they were going through this 6-game skid is that we need to call the plays that we're practicing in practice. That makes the most sense to me.
Right.
But I definitely would say that, during my football career, that the locker room, the presence that it created, the culture that it was, that had a lot to do with how I went out and played on that field. Because knowing that all these men in this locker room got my back, even my coach, I'm a full believer in authoritative figures So someone that can speak to you, a group of men, and lead them, man, they'll go through a wall for you. And I feel like that's who Matt Nagy is. And, because we've had that taste in 2018 of what, I'm still lingering on that a little bit. I'm not going to bring up his name, but,
we'll say that name on this show.
Who knows? So I definitely think that switch the GM out, switch our president of operations. Let's see what Nagy got with a fresh start.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised how high you are on Nagy, seeing as how you also high on Trubisky, because you usually don't see that together. But I think that you got to look at if he's able to get this turned around. Let's look at the last 3 games, like we kind of said earlier. 25 points in the loss to the Packers. 25 points. It looked so disrespectful because the defense basically showed us nothing in that game. And then 30 points against the Lions, and 33 today versus the Texans. Can the Chicago Bears keep this offensive output up?
Probably not. I mean,
well, he's honest.
Honesty and transparency is my 2 core values. Probably not. We won't probably score 30 points moving forward, but hopefully we won't have to. Yeah. The show that our defense put on today, holding Deshaun Watson to 7 points, I like that.
Yeah.
And I like that. And coming from an even stat standpoint, he had 300 plus yards in the last 5 games. We held him to under 2.
Right.
Defense playing like that, offense just put up 20, 25. 25 I'll be okay with. That should get the job done. Now, I'm not saying I won't be happy if we do continuously score
Yeah,
30
for sure.
points.
Hey,
Now,
listen, we're all for 60 points on the scoreboard. If you didn't know.
oh, absolutely. Let's run it up.
now,
Let's run it up.
Shonda brings up a good point. Shonda Washington in the live was good with you. She says Mitch is too inconsistent, and the Texans are not a good team. Now, the only thing I'll say about that is the Bears were losing to bad teams and struggling to beat bad teams in the beginning of this season, in the middle of this season. I mean, you look at how our first 5 games went. Yeah, we were winning, but we should have killed them. We should have killed the Giants. We should have killed Detroit. We should have killed, especially a Detroit that wasn't playing the way they're playing right now. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that when you look at, yes, they're beating bad teams, but to me, but they're beating them in a way that you're supposed to beat bad teams. Now, this is only one. You got to keep doing it. But if they come out and the offense is scoring like it has been scoring, and the offense is doing what it has been doing, and your defense, if you can get them both going at the same time, I mean, realistically, how far do you think this team can go? Is this team a playoff team?
So I want to definitely address Miss Chandra in the comments, because she brings up a very, very valid point. The Texans are a bad football team. I'm not going to hide from that fact, folks. But it's kind of like the saying that I picked up from Open Gym. When you get a 5 against a 5, you're going to beat. Let's get this over. Let's get this over with. And in my opinion, that's exactly what we did. I mean, we scored 30 points in the first half. So there's 7. So by the start of the third quarter, essentially on teams like this, we can get them down earlier. Let's just keep them down. And to your point about rolling into the playoffs and how good we can be, I'm a defensive guy. Offense, that's cool. Points are nice, but if the defense, if moving forward, if they continue like this today, the sky's the limit in my eyes. Because they're going to give us opportunities on offense where we can at least get something rolling, play with the field position potentially. Now, that's a Mr. Jerome. Yeah, we only had 6 in the second half.
And I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about that. Now, when you're up 30 in the first half, what changes for you on the team? Is what we saw today them taking their foot off in the second half and just trying to get out of there with a win, or is what we saw today basically the offense being unable to figure it out in the second half? Because I think we moved the ball well still in the second half. We just weren't getting touchdowns out of it. And we saw long drives from both teams in which the Bears held them scoreless pretty much.
Yeah. So I would definitely say that I'm probably on the beginning end of that sentence. I'm praying that it was just them taking their foot off the gas. Because a team that put up 30 in the first half and only 6 in the second, that's a scary team to have in the second half. But I definitely would say that from a team standpoint, my mindset is we're going to stop scoring when it's 0 seconds on the clock. When I have that opportunity to become a head coach, I'm going to be like that guy named Buddy, I think, of Last Chance U. We're going to run it up.
Okay.
Oh, we're going to run it up. We're going to run it up. Absolutely. But I definitely want to take a second and amend the Bears for finally scoring in the third quarter. I mean, we got 3 points. Hey, but I'm going to give them a
3-point bear down in the chat for them 3 points.
3 points.
3 points or not. 3 points or not. I think
third quarter, man.
So let's look ahead to next week as well. To kind of answer CE's question here. Essentially, you got to beat the Vikings. You got to beat the Vikings to get into the playoffs. The most important thing that the Bears can do right now is win. You technically still, even with losing as many games as we lost, you still control your own fate. You still control your own fate. And that speaks a lot to where these Chicago Bears are. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Did I enjoy watching today's game? Yes. Do I think that they could continue to put up this kind of offensive output? Like you said, say probably not. But you're coming up against teams that are going to give you the opportunity to score. Your last 3 games of the season, the Vikings, the Jaguars, and then you have the Packers in week 16, which at that point we might not see an Aaron Rodgers on the field. We might not see most of the talent because they'll be gearing up for the playoffs. And so you're thinking at least 2 out of 3 of these games are very winnable.
Gotta
Have the
have.
Vikings been playing better football? Yeah, they have. But are the Vikings a team that I think that is unbeatable? Absolutely not. What are your thoughts on next week versus Minnesota?
Oh, and I agree with you 100%. That's a must win. I said it as soon as we won this game, looked at the standings. So that's a blockbuster game right there.
Yeah.
If we lose that game, we're done. Period. In my eyes. Because looking at the standings right here, the top 7 is going to get in. They got the Cardinals at 7-6, and then it's us 6-7. I don't know what the Cardinals schedule is looking like coming up, but if we can eliminate the Vikings and then worry about the Cardinals, I think that's our best way into it.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing though is we're going to need that defense to show up again like they did, with Dalvin Cook until Akeem Hicks got hurt.
Right.
Because I think that's one thing that a lot of us have forgotten, or the significance of that role, because the position that he plays is that D tackle. That's right up the gut. That's the middle.
And
So
the
if it's easily to move
second
and
he got pulled
maneuver
out, we started getting gashed.
instantly. So having him healthy and ready to go, looking to lick his chops against, I don't know how him and Dalvin Cook got this love-hate relationship going, but I love it.
Hey, the trash they
I love
talk
it.
is so classic, bro. The trash they talk is so classic. I love it every time. I really think that you got to go into this game and you have to see the output from the defense like we saw today. And like you said, Deshaun Watson had not been putting up little bitty stats coming into this game. He was putting up big money stats. You know what I'm saying? He was putting up big points, losing games at the last minute on ticky-tack stuff without his best receiver, without, with injuries all over the place. That team has been riddled with injury. But what I saw from our defense today was impressive. And I think that it shows us kind of, okay, let's see who they are coming down the stretch now, because we saw 2 games in a row where really, I'll ask you what did you see defensively in those last 2 games with a guy who has that eye, who understands what did you see that really worried you in those games? And is that something that the Bears should be concerned about moving forward, or do we turn it around?
Okay, and just to clarify, we're talking today in the Lions?
Today, and the Lions, bro. If the Lions putting up 30 on
you. But here's the thing though, and this is one thing I definitely want to bring some light on. Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. I like Matthew Stafford. I feel that organization, if you take Matthew Stafford out of that organization and you put him in, I don't say somewhere like the 49ers,
they probably win that Super Bowl last year.
Exactly. But
they probably win that Super Bowl
specifically with us though. That game against the Lions was scary.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that as a defense that you love is a lead. You love a lead. Yeah. And by 10 at that, when I saw that we had a 10-point lead, I think it was maybe 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This is it. This is what defenses live for. Get that 7-minute stretch. Everybody buckle in. All right, we got to finish the game out. The offense done did enough. We just got to close them, and we didn't. And that game specifically, definitely, I'm worried about the defense.
Yeah.
Because again, the Texans team. Hey, let's not sugarcoat it. They limped into this game. They probably gonna limp out of it as well.
Yeah.
So next week against the Vikings, it's all chips on the table. I'm excited to see exactly what we're gonna put. Either gonna put forth our best game, or we gonna be on the show upset about how we didn't show up.
Man, and I think to me the biggest thing that we have to look at with the defense is, and maybe you could speak to this, when they had a lead in the past, we've seen them attack the quarterback much more. And they had a 10-point lead with, I think, what, 4 minutes left? Something very, very short. I believe 4 minutes
I
left.
gave him more time.
Yeah, I think there was like 4 minutes left. And to me, the fact that you're not attacking, you're not getting a pass rush to Matthew Stafford, you're not slowing him down, you're not stopping. That is the biggest sin to me. And I understand the reason why. I understand the reason why Chuck Pagano says he doesn't
Agreed
blitz,
that.
because he's like, listen, we have had offenses that if I give up a big play, we're not going to score again. So we can't rush six and just leave the field open. But I'll ask you this. Is Chuck Pagano the right guy to be calling this Bears defense? Because especially going into the rest of the season, now, like I said, today we've seen them be better. We saw them be much better. But these last two games were very concerning, and the Bears defense all season as a whole has been very bend but don't break.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I loved going into, I believe, that Vikings game was, we were third in the red zone,
Yeah,
red zone percentage. And that's a defense's DNA. Bend but don't break. We can live with three. Threes won't kill us. That's what my coach always told me. Threes won't kill us. But I think the biggest thing for me is with Chuck Pagano, I don't know his identity.
that's
With Vic,
concerning.
we bring it. We're bringing it. We're
Yeah,
bring you every play. You need to worry about somebody somewhere coming. And with I just don't know.
right.
And when the defense doesn't know their identity, it's hard to, especially this late into the season. Now I'm not saying this is for me personally, from a defensive standpoint, I can't see it. It seems like we play a lot of zone. Sometimes you want to blitz, sometimes we don't. I mean, looking at the
I
stats here,
think I think I think
Raquan
we
is just
saw
having
when
an
he brought the
excellent
blitz
season.
today. I think we saw when he brought the blitz today. It really worked, and you really saw. I mean, we saw Mario Edwards getting sacks. We saw, although Mingo killed me because he should have killed Deshaun Watson, and he was just jumping up and down. But we saw Barkevius Mingo, be in the backfield a lot. We saw Khalil Mack in the backfield. We saw now Robert Quinn, bro. Robert Quinn. Hey, listen, he's either hurt or he forgot how to play football, because I saw
He
Robert
lied to
Quinn
us.
today get manhandled. Manhandled. I've never seen somebody get hit off a block so disrespectfully. My man's literally hit him and he just fell over and laid out. Like, I've never seen somebody get is I think that's another thing. Like, we went through, kind of the Bears draft picks in the last episode, and talking about Ryan Pace and stuff like that. He's had good, he's had bad. The same thing is with his free agency signings. He's had good, he's had bad. You went out and got Khalil Mack, you gave Robert Quinn $30 million. That is going to go down as one of the worst signings that he's made, and possibly could be one of the signings that gets him out of the door a lot quicker. Like, I have to see more from Robert Quinn, but I said all that, I got completely off track. But we saw it
That's all
just
right,
every
man.
time I think about him, because I was like, he's gonna be so good. Oh wow, Leonard Floyd has 7 sacks. I think we saw.
That's another thing. I felt like we gave up on him so fast, man. I felt like we gave up on him
Yeah, but
fast.
no, he would. He would. This is the thing. I always see a lot of people talk about. Well,
He
now he's
wasn't no
playing
Kevin
next.
White.
You said what?
He wasn't a Kevin White now.
No, he wasn't a Kevin White. He definitely gave you production, but I think that we saw a lot of people. We see a lot of people say, "Well, he's playing next to Aaron Donald now, and that makes things easier." He was playing next to Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks. Show. He didn't show up. He had 26 pressures last season. He didn't show up. So you can't pay him that big money. You can't. Now,
With one
did we
hand
miss
up.
out on him? Possibly. I don't know if getting traded, or not getting picked up, being sent away, awoke something in him, and all of a sudden now he can play. But I I can't like he was bad. He was bad here. He was bad here. And I think there's a lot of players on this Bears teams that we've seen are going to be bad here and move on and have some okay careers. Not great, but okay careers. But I think when you look at
Wouldn't be the first time.
I know, right? It always happens to us. When you had a lead like he had today, he sent his defense after Deshaun Watson and got to him more times than not, showing that these guys still have dogs on this team. And I think that it kind of correlates with what we heard in the past. This Bears defense with a lead can be deadly, but we've never seen this Bears defense with a legit lead.
Nope.
I think that
Nope.
when you look at this Bears team, if you give this defense a lead, it's a very different Bears defense.
I just hope that when we do have that lead,
We
that
don't
we
lose
are
it.
full go for capacity. You feel 100% healthy, because
Yeah.
I mean that's another thing, that Eddie Goldman didn't play this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another sleeper pick right there, in my opinion. That's another player that him, Eddie Goldman, Bilal Nicholas, Akeem Hicks, Khalil, and then Robert Quinn.
Yeah.
Having that on and Brent Irvine. Don't let me sleep on my guitar playing DN. I love when you get up and play that guitar. I love that.
Hey. I think the biggest thing, and P Kid's in the live. What's good, Kid, man? Hey, get some work done, my boy.
Yo.
He makes a good point though. When you aren't playing from behind, the pressure's off. We've seen
And
this
that
defense.
goes right back to the identity.
Right. We've seen this defense with the pressure on, and they've cracked. They've cracked. Now, overall, and I can't ridicule the defense for the entire season. I just can't. Like, this defense has been good the entire season, but I can look at the defense in these last couple of games and say, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. In the Packers game, they might not say it, they might not believe it, which is good if they don't believe it. But to everybody else, it looked like they gave up. It looked like they got to a point and they were like, all right, I'm done. I can't do it.
It is what it is.
How do you come back from that? How do you come back from that to what we saw today, to keeping what we saw today consistent from a mental standpoint as you as a defensive player? How do you combat that?
Well, the biggest, and not that I ever got blown out in college. No, I'm joking, man. On games like that, where the defense didn't play well, the biggest thing for me was owning it, because in my eyes, the longer I went about trying to blame this, trying to blame that, the longer that from a mental standpoint, I held on to it. And that took a toll, because in college, it was next week. All right, we still got a season that we got to play. If we in week 8 and you still worrying about the performance you put on in week 2, I mean, this season is a goner for you.
Yeah.
So I definitely would say the way they showed up. I mean, we didn't win the next game, but continuously keeping that 1-0 mindset, 1-0 mindset every week helps from the defensive side, especially with my guy at corner, Mr. Jalen Johnson, rookie. Whew. I was excited when he finally got the position, to get the starting role, because when I watched that man's highlight tape, yeah, I said, okay. Now we got to get him in the weight room. We got to work on tackling a little bit.
I think his most important thing he got to work on is his feet. I've seen him fall so often to nothing. Like, it's not even like he got mixed up on a run.
Monsters for real.
I think as we look at this team coming down the stretch in the last 3 games of this season, I'm gonna ask you this straight out: what do you want to happen? Do you want the Bears to make the playoffs? Do you want the Bears to keep going? And in all honesty, it's probably going to be, you might see changes, but I mean, if they're a playoff team, if they're a playoff threat, like if they actually make some noise in the playoffs, you're not going to see changes. You're not going to see Ryan Pace and Ted Phillips removed out of there. Would you rather have that scenario, or would you rather have the scenario where, we do end up losing 1 or 2 of these games? At this point, the fact that you won today probably threw off most of your draft positioning anyway. So it's not, to me, you look talking about the difference between 14 and 17. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I what scenario do you want to see the Chicago Bears play out?
As a Bears fan, since I was legit, right now I'm stuck at a crossroads. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Because crossroad left, I say let's just lose. Because I don't want us, like you said, I don't want Ted Phillips I don't want him to run our organization anymore. And I believe that when he leaves, the next man up is Ryan Pace. He got to go too. All right, let's get that fresh start. But then that's like maybe 20%. But
Right.
over here, I'm roll right. Oh, I'm
Right.
80%. Let's go all out. 3-0. Let's go ahead and get these wins. Let's get rolling as a defense. Let's get Mitchell Trubisky back that confidence. Let's get him more mobile out of the pocket. Let's get the running game going. So when that playoffs hit, we know we're going to see one of them top seeds. Hopefully the Packers. Whew.
Man.
That's truly where I'm truly at a crossroads.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't sit in front of the TV and cheer for us to lose.
I can't, bro. I really can't. Like it pains me as a Bears fan. Y'all let us know in the chat as well. What scenario do you want to see play out? If you are if you are in the live, like the video, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports weekly. To me, I agree with you, and I can mentally tell myself the Bears losing out is going to be your best case scenario. The Bears losing out is going to be the best thing for the Bears moving forward. But I cannot sit on my couch for 3 hours and sit there and be like, dang it, we scored again. I'm sick of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have it. And so, I look at this team as today brought me the biggest. I said on Twitter, if you guys haven't done so, follow me on Twitter as well. We give a ton of updates on that Pat the Designer. I said on Twitter that I've never felt more controversy on a team that has been controversial all year than I feel right now.
For real. Because like you said, that's a great point. On one hand, losing would help us out in the draft. But on the other hand, who wants to sit in front of a TV
Man,
and just watch the Jets?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And listen, maybe if you're at the Jets point, you do, because you watching the Jets and you're like, all right, we losing, but Trevor Lawrence is coming. This season is over. The problem is the Bears gave us hope. The entire Nagy time he's been here has been hope. It's been 12-4. He did it backwards. That's the problem. He went 12-4, and then he went 8-8, and now who knows how this season's going to end. If he had done it the other way around, we'd be feeling good about it. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, I look at this team and I'm just like, okay, what's going to be the better outcome? And I'm conflicted, man. I don't want to see the Bears lose out. I think I'm leaning more towards that. I don't want to see the Bears lose out because I don't think there's a pick you're going to get at this point that's going to make a difference. And if it is, it's going to be 14 and 17 and or it's going to be so close that, okay, go get it. If there's a guy right there you need to go get him. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that for the Bears, I think that for the Bears, there's so much more that needs to be fixed anyway. But I can't sit on my couch and watch and root for them to lose.
No. And I've seen James in the comments say, win out. I agree 100%. Yeah. Mitch Trubisky, I'm gonna go back to it. I just looked at the little schedule. I wanted to do a little tally. He's 3-2. Well, yeah, 3 wins, 2 losses, I believe, under his belt. Lost the 2 to the Lions and the Packers. Got us a win against the Texans. If we can get this man confident and rolling and just letting it loose, I can live with it if we're being aggressive.
Yeah.
But a victory against the Packers and the Vikings will definitely, in my eyes, allow for the defense to have that confidence going into the playoffs because of the fact that, one, it's Aaron Rodgers. Well, you said, who knows what that game's going to look like. That's a good point. Right. But even the Vikings, I'm used to sweeping the Vikings. I'm used to 2-0. I would not
be surprised if we beat them. Like nothing was. It would not surprise. I'd just be like, all right, we beat the Vikings. I knew that was coming.
Honestly, I definitely think that Mitch Trubisky getting back into it. Get feeding Cole Kmet. That has to happen. Happen.
And Vaughn, no, I don't want. I know. I understand that my logic makes no sense. I just want. I can't root for the Bears to lose. I
You
understand
just
it,
want
bro.
wins.
I understand it. By the way, and Cole bringing up a good point about Buster Screen. Buster Screen should never start for the Chicago Bears again today. And I'm not saying that Duke Shelley is a better player, but I didn't hear his name. The only time I heard Duke Shelley's name today was, and Duke Shelley filling in for Buster Screen. I was like, yo, I didn't even know that man was out there. That's what I'm talking about. You're doing your job, sir. If I'm not hearing your name, you might not be making amazing plays, but you're doing your job. I need that more. I need that more in there because I'm sick of hearing Buster Screen or seeing Buster Screen get blown past down the field and dominated. I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. Look at your face.
Nothing hurts a
Hold
defense
up,
more.
because you the DB. I didn't even think about it. What are your thoughts on a Buster Screen, my friend?
Man, there's nothing worse than a defense that's trying to play cover, trying to play man, and
Yeah,
there's one defensive back in that unit that just cannot do it. They
yeah.
just cannot do it. And my thing is, third down is money down. Right? That's our chance to get off the field. And Buster Screen just ain't getting it done for us.
At all.
Against the Rams, against the Vikings, and then against the Lions. What else do we need? I like Duke Shelley coming in because one, I just don't like Buster. I think we should get rid of him after this season. He did not show up. He just didn't show up for me.
At all.
As a defensive back, I'm aggressive. I like getting my hands on. He doesn't
Yeah.
do that. He plays off. And I mean,
Now,
he's not the biggest defensive back.
is that him or is that Pagano? Because I think we've seen Pagano call defenses too, where they like yards off the receiver, and I'm like, hey, how they gonna guard that? Like, I'm no expert, but if he's standing
Well,
8 yards away, he can't get up to him.
no, absolutely not. And I agree. There's times where I've criticized Kyle Fuller, the Pro Bowl corner we got,
Yeah,
playing 15 yards off, and the guy runs a 5-yard hitch. That's 10-yard cushion you're giving him. By the time we get up to it, that's an 8-yard game. You do the math, all right? They do that three more drives. We're moving it down the field.
yeah.
But I'm a strong believer in coaches coach, players play. Feel me? My coach or a coach can call a play. Let's say a zone. As a defensive back, I can stem, walk up to the line, try to confuse the quarterback, have him thinking, oh man, this is man. And at the last second, I'll bail out, get dropping into my zone.
Right.
There's, in my opinion, there's always an opportunity to stem or try to move around, especially on third downs. I hate beating the dead horse, but Buster Screen got to go. He got to go.
I don't even think it's a dead horse. I agree with you, and it makes me feel good when like people that actually did this for a living, agree with me because like I'm looking at it, and I'm like, look, I'm no DB expert, but he getting killed in the slot. Now, granted, I think the weirdest thing for me with the Bears is that they really kind of put their DBs in a position and they don't move them. They don't have a guy follow around. They don't have Kyle Fuller follow the best receiver around the entire field. They don't have Jalen Johnson.
And that's always bothered me.
It's very confusing to me because literally the times when now listen, Buster Screen is not great. I'm not saying that he can do anything, but I got to give him a little bit of slack because they put him in there as the third DB, and they're swapping your best receiver into the slot position, and now he's got to guard Michael Thomas coming over the middle instead of having to guard their third or fourth best wide receiver on the field. So what is that a problem that you think? I mean, listen, the Bears defense has been working for the most part throughout the season, but it's just so weird to me that they never have their DBs follow around the best player on the team.
Absolutely. I agree with that. When I went overseas to play in Rodenburg, Germany, the biggest thing that I loved about it was that when I went against other teams and they had an American receiver, I told my coach, hey, don't worry about him. I got him. Wherever he goes, I'm following him. And just from a competition standpoint, you want that iron sharpens iron. So as one man sharpens another. And the fact that defensively, we've never allowed for our cornerbacks to follow their star receivers, I feel has jeopardized our Buster Screens. You know, that's on roller skates on 3rd and 6, getting shake up in and out. My
He's
man's
still
falling
bad,
down,
but
trying to make the tackle. Like, come on, man. I don't understand that. I don't. So hopefully Duke
yeah.
Shelley give us something different where we can just say goodbye to him. Because in the playoffs, I mean, there was a solid 2 weeks straight. I kid you not. I paid very, very specific attention to it that on third downs, they targeted that man.
Oh yeah.
Back-to-back drives a couple of
Oh
times
yeah.
too. And as a D coordinator, I mean, hey, after the first drive, it's not rocket science. You can pick up on trends. And
Right.
they continuously targeting this man. Either get him some help or get him out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I think that when I look at this Bears team going forward, when I look at what we got coming up next week, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can see us beating the Vikings. I really can. Like I'm not. I've never been a believer in Kirk Cousins. Now I think that Stephon Diggs. I mean, what you gonna do about that? You know what I'm saying? But I've never been a believer in Kirk Cousins. I don't think that he can beat you. I don't think that he can beat you consistently. Now, he did come out, he did beat us this year, but I don't think that he can beat you consistently. And I don't think he can come out and he can dominate you consistently. And so to me, I look at a guy like Kirk Cousins coming into Chicago, and I'm just like, okay, we can win this game. If you get 2 in a row, we've seen what happens when you go on a streak. We got 2 in a row. We got 3 in a row. We got 4 in a row. I'm talking about losing. Can you do that on the win now? Can you do that with the wins now? And if you can do that with the wins, coming down to the end of this season, I don't know how far they can go in the playoffs, but I think that they could make the playoffs.
Okay. So I definitely would say that I don't believe in Kirk Cousins.
Respectfully, but yes.
I don't. You know, right? Respectfully, you know, his game on the field as a man, you know, all that. Absolutely. But as a football player, I feel like he's overpaid. You know, but at the same time, I gotta give him his respect because he beat us.
Right.
But what the Vikings do is that they run the ball so gives Kirk Cousins the opportunity and the play caller to call those play action plays where they got Justin Jefferson shooting across the line of scrimmage, where the DN now has to make a decision if I'm gonna rush the quarterback or play back, and then he has plays going off in the second level. You know, so in my eyes, as long as Akeem Hicks can stay healthy, I don't think Kirk Cousins can beat our back end.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that not that cost us that game, because I mean the Bears end up just losing that game anyway. But the biggest thing to me was, yeah, I'm still here. You hear me? Uh-oh. Did we lose Tay? Can you hear me? I think we lost Tay, y'all. I think we lost Tay, but no, I was gonna say, and you're right, Damian. My bad. I meant to say Dalvin Cook. I don't know why I said Stephon Diggs. But I think that if you look at this Bears team moving down the stretch, if you look at what this Bears team can do moving down the stretch, I don't know how dangerous they can be. I don't know how well they can finish the season. Let's see if we got Tay back here. Yo, you good?
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
All right. All good. No, I think I was just saying that, and I said Stephon Diggs. I meant to say, good Lord, why can't I remember Dalvin Cook?
Oh yeah.
But I think that when you look at this Bears team, that's your weapon. That's your biggest weapon that you have to face next week. And with Akeem Hicks in there, I don't know what Akeem Hicks knows about this dude, but he always knows where Dalvin Cook is going to be. He always knows, all right, let me slide into this A-gap real quick. Let me slide over here now. Let me hit you here now. Because Dalvin Cook literally could not move when Akeem Hicks was in the game. And so when I look to next week, I'm going to be real with you. I can see the Bears getting a victory in next week. And not just because I don't know if the offense is going to output like this again. I don't think that Minnesota can consistently score enough points on this Bears defense to get it done. Now it depends on what kind of Bears defense shows up at the end of the day. But
Absolutely.
go ahead.
And I feel like, it's time for us as a defensive unit. It's time for us to turn the cap.
Facts.
It's time for us to just focus 1 week at a time. And I don't know how much we heard before I cut out, but defensively, I feel that with Akeem Hicks in the game, there's no way that Kirk Cousins can beat our DBs. I just don't see it. Now, if Dalvin Cook gets off and starts to have a
that's a whole
pretty solid game running, well, then hey, now we in trouble.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Now we in trouble because play action Kirk Cousins is a dangerous man.
Yeah.
Dangerous, absolutely.
Tay, I want to thank you for pulling up to the show, my boy. I'm letting them know where they can follow you. Follow my man's on Twitter.
Yes,
and we're gonna be on there having mad Bears conversation. I really like getting the viewpoint of somebody that's done it, the viewpoint of the athlete, and that's why I'm so glad we was able to get you on the show. Anything you want to plug before you get out of here? Anything you got going on? Any products you got coming up?
Definitely. Well, first off, you want to say thank you for having me on the show, man. Been a huge fan, always on here watching, talking Bears. I love that. Also, if y'all need any CPD products, shopltw.com. Visit the website. Very, very, very well organization, getting it off the ground. Shopltw.com. Once again, appreciate you, boss man.
For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know your predictions in the chat. And by the way, before we get out of here, y'all know how we do it. I need them Bear Downs in the chat. Let me get them Bear Downs in the chat. Because we were Bears fans well before Matt Nagy got here. We will be Bears fans well after Matt Nagy got here. Your Chicago Bears came away with a win today. The first time in 6 weeks. I'm going to get up out of here. It is your boy, Patrick Designer. Back at it again. Y'all stay safe out of Chicago.
Sir. Peace.